At this time, I'd like to welcome to the stage Adrian Allen, co-founder of the Advanced Manufacturing Research Center, Pete Hoffman, Boeing Vice President of Intellectual Property Management, Mark Mitsui, President of Portland Community College, Senator Betsy Johnson, and Chris Harder, Director of Business Oregon.
Thank you. I'll speak on behalf of the panel, and I know we're all excited to be up here today. I think you can see from the video that AMRC Sheffield serves as a North Star for omec and what we have going here in Oregon. In economic development, the standard performance metric is job creation. It's straightforward, it's easy to understand, it's an important metric, but it can also be limiting. Over-reliance on short-term activities designed to create the most number of jobs can also distract us from investments designed to promote long-term competitiveness. If Oregon as a whole, and not just certain communities, is to remain globally competitive, we need a more investment-focused approach, one that intentionally links innovation and workforce development, one that seeks to connect urban and rural economies, and one focused on creating long-term economic assets. The Oregon Manufacturing Innovation Center, a joint research and development and training campus in Columbia County, turns this talk into action. omec's initial 5-year vision lays a foundation for long-term job creation, skill development, and advanced technology. And maybe more importantly, how the work gets done will also have a profound impact on Oregon. omec's industry higher education governance model ensures that innovation will be applied in the marketplace and Oregon workers are trained and placed directly into quality jobs. Committed partners reinforce this narrative. They include the state of Oregon, local government, Portland Community College, Oregon Tech, Oregon State University, Portland State University, Boeing, and other prominent Oregon manufacturers. Collectively, the omec enterprise has accomplished a lot the last 6 months. The legislature appropriated $7.5 million to launch the effort. Industry and university partners are putting final touches on a master agreement. Oregon Tech and Business Oregon partnered to purchase the building that will house initial research and development activities. PCC is acquiring land for the development of a training center and a larger campus, and local partners are working on a long-term master plan to accommodate growth. On stage with me today are key leaders of this effort. Let's hear from them directly. And Adrian, I'll start with you. The AMRC Sheffield model prioritizes innovation to grow industry. Can you elaborate on how the model in Sheffield has led to job creation, economic growth, and maybe most importantly, prosperity for all?
Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me to join here today. I do excuse myself and apologize that I'm not actually wearing a suit. So many times I've been to the United States and I'm the only one there in a suit and tie, which typically we dress like that in the UK for business meetings. So I was informed, it was quite informed, so I feel a bit like a tramp on this. But anyway, the little film that was made up there as a prelude to this highlighted a key thing there, and it's the need for engineers. In the last 2 years to our little research center in Sheffield, we now have 9 of the things, I have to say. We've had 30 countries from around the world, ministers of education, ministers of trade, all looking to see how this academic, industrial, governmental, collaborative project has created such phenomenal wealth and jobs. So 12 years ago, we opened our little first center, similar to what you have here up at Scappoose. And we literally had 8 people within there, myself and 7 others. And from that, well, basically 12 years on, we have 1,100 staff. I've got something like 600 masters, PhDs. I only have 1 professor, by the way, within there. Means something different in the UK, but And in all, we've got 1,100 staff within there. And over the last 3 years, you might have picked up, adjacent to our center, one of our biggest accomplishments is we created an academy for youngsters, for what we call apprentices, apprentice engineers, because there's absolutely no way, I always say to countries or regions around the world, anyone will invest in meaningful high-value manufacturing if there isn't a talent pool out there. So year on year, we take on 250 youngsters in the main, and believe this or believe it not, we have 16, 17-year-olds being trained to be high-value mechanical engineers, and you're going to be amazed at this, and they all earn a salary, on average $12,000. So they actually get paid to go to school. That's the value we place on engineers. So the original vision was to get a little research center as a catalyst to attract, entice, and more importantly, keep high-value manufacturing within our region. And you have to remember the region, the 400-acre site that this thing is placed on, which is now home to well over 3,000, 3 times the national average salary jobs, was probably the poorest city with a half million population or more in West Europe. It's now the most expensive real estate outside of Westminster in London. That's the demand for companies to come on to our site. So there you have it. We've got good, meaningful jobs. It hasn't cost a lot of taxpayers' money. We've brought in billions of wealth, and it's all on the back of what was initially supported by the Boeing Corporation. And we truly call it, and our Prime Minister, I've been with him in Parliament, and he's alluded to it as the Boeing effect.
Adrian is being humble. When he was introduced, we should have referenced to him as Sir Adrian Allen. So rumor has it he's been knighted by Her Majesty. So I think that puts in perspective what he's accomplished in Sheffield. Yeah. Pete, I'd like to turn the next question to you. Innovation is the lifeblood for companies like Boeing. Can you talk about how the Boeing effect has been realized by other communities around the world and what technological advancement means for Boeing and other industry partners?
Absolutely, I'd be glad to. It's great to be here, everybody. You know, I met Adrian in the fall of 1999 by chance in a lobby of our advanced manufacturing facility in St. Louis, Missouri. I was introduced by a mutual friend, and he had this crazy idea about academia, industry, and government all working together. And it sounded interesting, so I got a couple of executives on an airplane a month or so later, and we went and had our first set of meetings. And here we are many years later with great success that Adrian and his team has put together. When you think about the Boeing effect, though, I think it was all about having faith in the model, having faith that if we joined, we could get others to join through the strength of our brand. And indeed, that's what played out. We very purposefully named it the Advanced Manufacturing Research Center with Boeing. There are Boeing logos on the signage, on the shirts, the bumper stickers, the T-shirts, just about everywhere. But it's not, I have to stress, it's not just about Boeing. We recognize that our brand can pull in peer companies, it can pull in supply chain members, and the key is that we're all working on issues that we all face. So it's finding those common issues that are challenging us that we can co-invest our money, have a co-investment from our governments, and then ultimately share the results. And that's a tricky model to pull off. There's intellectual property issues you have to deal with, but we've really worked our way through those, and it's a very successful model. So when you think about innovation, though, why is it so important? And the thing that the AMRC does for us, and that model does for us, is it fills an important gap that is very difficult to fill between academic innovation and the practical technical solutions that industry needs. Oftentimes they die in what you might hear called the valley of death. Well, the focus of the research taking place at the AMRC and ultimately at OMEC will be that valley of death stage between the initial spark of innovation from our academic partners and the practical real-world solutions that industry needs in order to make us more competitive in the market.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pete. President Mitsui, One of the ways OMIC has improved upon the AMRC Sheffield model is to link workforce development and industry innovation from the outset. Can you talk about how the vision for the OMIC Training Center, or can you talk about what is the vision for the OMIC Training Center and how it uniquely addresses workforce development?
Yes, excuse me, absolutely. And the vision, Chris, is to develop the training and research center simultaneously and in close proximity in terms of time and space to realize unique synergies in order to benefit advanced manufacturers, apprentices, the local economy, as well as communities. And Adrian alluded earlier to the importance of having a skilled labor force there to be attractive to companies to come to the region. And that's one of the benefits of this vision. Additionally, it'll be important for the apprentices to have opportunities to partner with the university partners. And so there will also be an opportunity for apprentices to engage in research studies with the university students along with the industry partners. And we see that as has the potential of sort of shortening that gap between the research phase and the practice phase that Peter talked about, and informing the workforce training process as we move along. In addition to that, Portland Community College is serving an increasingly diverse student population. As Oregon, as the Portland metro region becomes more diverse, we're seeing that reflected at PCC. So we have an opportunity to pipeline an increasingly diverse workforce into advanced manufacturing. And when we take a look at those opportunities, along with the partnerships with OIT, PSU, and OSU, we believe our apprentices will have opportunities to skill up to bachelor's and beyond in advanced manufacturing. So all told, we see this vision as having the benefit of creating a more highly skilled, diverse, innovative workforce for the 21st century.
Thank you. And the president has only been here 3-4 months, so he's had to get up to speed on a lot of things, including this project. So I can say without a doubt, we're lucky here in Oregon to have him as a leader of one of our community colleges. So thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Johnson, many credit you for the OMIC vision here in Oregon. Can you talk about what this initiative means in terms of partnership between industry, academia, and government? Why does this collaboration matter, and what is the importance of having all three at the table?
Sure. For a long time, I had been an advocate of manufacturing in the legislature, particularly metals manufacturing. I had the opportunity to meet Adrian Allen, and about a year ago, on my own dime and my own time, I went to Sheffield. It was so far better in reality than it was in my imagination. I have never been involved in a project this exciting. And I want to just tick through the litany of why this is so valuable, not just to Oregon, but to our region. Boeing has a commitment to their Gresham plant, represented by my colleague, Lori Monis Anderson, who's in the audience here. They have 1,600 Oregon employees there that they have to keep competitive as those people go about building the airplanes of the future. We have a wonderful model to emulate, and that's the AMRC. I think Adrian has been here 5 times from the UK to talk about this. He came specifically today from Sheffield to talk to us about this opportunity and to meet with the businesses. Along with Professor Keith Ridgway, his partner in the AMRC, their international connections will help drive this forward, both with private sector investment and with our industry partners. We have had the opportunity to bring 200 acres of land into the Scappoose UGB. Some people have said, why Scappoose? Well, this serendipitous coincidence of a variety of opportunities has led Scappoose to be that opportune place. We are close enough to Portland and close enough to that manufacturing facility in Gresham with cheaper land prices than out in Gresham that we're within that gravitational pull, which makes this an obvious nexus. We have the powerful cooperation of Portland State University and Oregon State University. Their deans have both been to England and have seen the facility at Sheffield and are actively engaged. We have PCC's commitment in Columbia County to build a physical facility. We've been in their tax catchment area for a long time, and now they're going to fulfill a long-held dream in South Columbia County to build a physical plant, and they are going to drive, as you heard from President Mitsui, the training portion of this. We have had private sector investors already in Columbia County. A local businessman, Scott Parker, made a $400,000 cash equivalent contribution to provide ingress and egress out of our site, our current site. We have a quality land developer with infinite patience who has laid up enough property that we can continue to develop the same way the AMRC has. Their first 200 acres is fully subscribed, and they've gone into the second 200 acres. We have the first 200 in the UGB and a second 200 waiting. We have federal and local economic development partnerships that have been working to provide infrastructure. The breathtaking political courage of the Oregon Technical, OIT, I still keep calling it OIT, Oregon Tech. And as Mr. Thorndike alluded to earlier, these new, nimble entrepreneurial boards that are guiding our institutions, OIT was able to step up and take a leadership role. A generous legislature committed $7.5 million, and hopefully when called upon in the 2017 budget, will continue their investment. We have a renewed Oregon commitment to career and technical education. We also have had the opportunity to brief our philanthropic partners, and Adrian met with the 4 heads of our largest charities here in Oregon, Philanthropies, and while no commitments have been made, they have evidenced an interest in wanting to be part of this. So in addition to business, academia, and government, we would add philanthropy as the 4th leg on our Oregon stool. This isn't a Columbia County opportunity. This is a state opportunity, a regional opportunity, and I would dare say to all of you, a national opportunity. Boeing has stood up 14 of these institutions around the globe. This is the only North American presence, and it is in Oregon. We are all investors in this success. So let me just conclude by saying from Klamath Falls to Corvallis, from Portland to Gresham, from Gresham to the UK, this is public-private partnerships at work. This is technical to higher education. We all in elected office talk about these kind of relationships. This is our chance to deliver.
If we're ever lacking emotion, we just channel Senator Johnson on this project. She has been its strongest supporter, and I think for a lot of economic development projects, a very strong supporter here in the state. Senator, you touched on a point at the end I want to tease out a little bit. So the potential local and regional benefits of omec are clear: workforce development and job creation in Columbia County, innovation and new product development for greater Portland companies. Can each of you briefly describe how you think omec will enable economic growth and prosperity statewide, and frame that a little differently outside the Portland metro? Senator, if you want to build off what you said, and then we'll come down the line.
Well, I don't know how much I specifically have to add. The thing that's the most compelling is to stand on the floor in the academy at Sheffield and watch these young people. They are the tour hosts when you're there. They have such pride of association with an honorable profession. They are so enthusiastic about showing off their facility and the relationships that they build with business, so that when you go into the AMRC, they all wear shirts and they say AMRC with Boeing at Sheffield. Then they have a little award from the Queen on this shoulder. And on this side, it says Betsy Johnson, and then the company that I'm paired with. And so let's assume, using a very prominent AMRC partner, it's Rolls-Royce. So it would be Betsy Johnson, sponsored by Rolls-Royce. I work in the facility, then I work a little bit in the facility, and then with my business, and then eventually translate into the business. I carry those skills, that proud tradition of engineering, into my company. My company makes money. They have the opportunity to expand. Suppliers whose tools we're using have the opportunity to enter into the Boeing supply chain. This is one of these multiple magnifiers that each point along the continuum, there's a chance for somebody to have opportunity, for folks to make money, for us to deliver on the kind of revenue enhancement that you have heard the clarion call for today.
I'm glad you're next.
Any questions? Well, I think this creates a model for opportunity for the rest of the state. And we're going to go through this, and we're going to learn a lot. We've already learned a lot from Adrian, AMRC, and we're going to learn a lot from OMEC and create that template or pathway to opportunity, not only for apprentices and students, but also for entire communities, industries in these high-growth, high-wage sectors.
I'll take it one step further from Senator Johnson's statements about this not only being a state level, but also a national level. I'd say that it has the potential of being a global impact. And if you look at the work we're doing in Sheffield with the AMRC and the parade of dignitaries and government officials from around the world that have come in to see the model, the network that's already there, our ability to draft off of the learnings. For example, we didn't start doing the training aspects until a number of years after starting the AMRC, wrong color of money to start with. Well, we realized we're getting it right this time. We're doing training and apprentice work right at the beginning. So the fact that we have the partnership with the AMRC and we see a real hands across the Atlantic between the work in Portland and the United States, as well as the work in the UK, I think is really a place we can go that'll take it to a higher level.
So, great. There's an immaculate amount of work to be done to achieve the goal. The vision being here, we've got an entity, an environment that's to be built with the common goal of wealth for all involved. Wealth's a lovely word. It means different things to different people. From an industrial perspective, they have their definition. We need to keep an eye on what industry wants. Academics, they might call wealth something different, and a different take. Funding for their hobbies might be a cynical way of looking at it, but the reality is, but for a youngster, and the governor, I was pretty touched by one of the things she picked on there, and I can't begin to tell you the empathy I have with thousands and thousands of youngsters out of work. And coming from, and the area where we were, I emphasize, it had 91% unemployment in a 1-mile radius. This was due to the fact that it built up on legacy industries in the steel and in the coal mining, which Margaret Thatcher in her wisdom closed. And really, with unemployment comes a whole raft of things that are quite ugly. And it does have a drain on the taxpayer, indirectly or directly, because of the drain on the social services, the healthcare, dare I say, the police and things like this. So there's nothing good with unemployment. So every region in the world wants to up employment, particularly from a government perspective, because that then brings in revenue to do all the good, lovely things. So let's have that common goal, like you said, in the economic strategy. Let's not hide away from this. It's everybody's duty and responsibility to create meaningful, well-paid jobs for all the right reasons. But I have to say, as a little postscript here, hearing that, people say to me, so you and Keith, you've had all of these things and we get invited to try and help, and a lot of people want us to help replicate the model around the world. Well, we frankly don't do that. We have enough on our own plate. But they say, well, why are you over here? Well, I think you just listened to one of the inspirational reasons why. I wake up, it sounds awful, it might be taken the wrong way, but I think about Betsy a lot. And, I have never, ever met anybody quite like this lady. She's got the energy of a... She talks about it being an honor and a privilege, and I've heard this, and I've witnessed it, and I've seen it. This lady is one big philanthropical, doing things for the right reasons. I love working hard myself. It's like an addiction, particularly when, things are fulfilling. But to watch and witness and share in you in action, It's a massive motivatory factor for Keith and myself to continue and commit to support this. Massive factor, Betsy. So you do yourself, your region, indeed your country, a massive honor the way you've commanded yourself and keep pushing for this vision for the right reasons, dear. So.
So one last short question. In 5 years, how do you hope the headline reads in the paper as it relates to omec? We'll start with you, Adrian.
Well, I'd like to think it was mission accomplished, but you have got a lot of work ahead of you. You've got all the ingredients here. There's a willing workforce. If you don't mind, I'll just say, in order to attract, entice, and keep industry investing, what we find is you need a place and environment that's got the capacity, the capability to undertake the work that these guys want to make their planes, for Vigor to make their ships, for Daimler to continue to be the world leader in trucks. You've got really high employment, good indigenous expertise around here as an ingredient, massive tacit knowledge, and a history in metals and things. So the dream has got to be great Oregon for metals, for transport, advanced systems like this, and meaningful jobs. You've got a willing, and I think it's unique in world terms, to have 3 universities even talking together, let alone committed to working together. These are unique facets, I think, within there. But you've got the capacity, you've got the capability. The most important, though, is the commitment. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I've just seen with the people I've rubbed shoulders around here, at both governmental, at industrial, and indeed at academic level, this can do, will do, want to attitude. And so you've got a ball, it's been passed to you. I think if you get the right people doing the right things for the right reason, to a common goal, wealth for all involved, hopefully you won't fumble that ball, and hopefully you'll go and touch it down with even bigger and better success than we ourselves have done.
So Adrian gave us the article, the headline from the 3 of you.
5 years from now, my hope is that we're working hard as a team. Boeing's benefiting, but more importantly, Boeing and all of our industry participants and the broader community is benefiting from omec.
Portland Community College creates pathways to opportunity for youth and low-skilled adults in partnership with universities, employers, government, and regional communities.
Most valuable site outside of Westminster.
Well, as evident from our panel today, the future of economic development increasingly looks like omec. It's an example of how Oregon will compete. Join me in thanking our panelists.